money. Wow, I was figuring 6, so I'm feeling pretty good. Yay! I got a $20 donation, so I spent a little bit of money on some drinks and chips. They are on sale, so if anybody wants drinks and chips, sorry I couldn't provide more, but at least it's good salsa water, so that'll be nice. So, one thing I'd like to do before we get started. How many of you know Lewis Day?
Yep.
Lewis Day is, I guess he was like a PhD in biblical theology. He also was a minister, and he wrote this book, Fighting Words. And I'd like to read something here from it real quick.
What's it called again?
What's that?
Title?
Fighting Words.
There you go.
Okay, not to use that. He says here, when government leaders trespass their God-given boundaries, it becomes the responsibility of the citizenry to confront or even oppose that leadership. I think that's where we're at right now, are we not?
Yes, sir.
I think that's where we're at right now.
Yep.
And so I feel a lot of us are being called right now for that battle, and I'm honored to be called for that battle. So my name is Wayne Bryant, and I'm running for sheriff. As of yesterday, I was a write-in candidate. After today, that should change. A lot of people over the last year and a half complained that, what are you afraid of getting your fingerprints done? Why are you balking this so much? Well, you know, last February, I did go to Montezuma County, and I did get my fingerprints. I took them to the BOCC, I took them to the county recorder, I took them to everybody. Because it's not the fact that I have to do the fingerprints according to statute. It's this little letter right here from the CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. It says here that it's voluntarily, you can give these, but if you don't, they're going to keep you off the ballot. But if you voluntarily give them your fingerprints, then they can violate your Fourth Amendment and do whatever they want to with them, which is illegal. So that's why I battled it. And I battled it for a year and a half. And I showed them, I'm not afraid to do that. And so Chris finally called me last week after multiple letters to Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, and multiple letters to the CBI saying that you're violating constitutional law by enforcing this. Cool. Do you know that? And I also stated to the CBI that you are also violating your oath of office by violating my Fourth Amendment. Mm-hmm. And so he called back and he says, yes, Mr. Bryant, you're absolutely correct. But the FBI says you either do it or you don't get on the ballot. So today I went down to the sheriff's office and got new forms. I got new fingerprints and I submitted them today. So, and the reason why I did that was for one thing. So that way when I do become sheriff, when these people from the CBI and the FBI, and we all know what the FBI did to our last president. CBI is no different. Do not trust them. I have this ammunition now to fight them saying, well, if you're not going to obey your oath of office and the Constitution, you took an oath as too, why should we even trust you? No, get out. We don't need you.
Yeah, cool.
We don't need you.
Bam.
And so that's why I did this for the last year and a half, was to set this up. And it worked out perfectly. So I'm a happy camper about that.
Really?
But, yay! Now, one of the things that we're going to do, because believe you me, it's just not me. It's going to take all of us here. If we're going to get our Constitution back, and if we're going to get our country back, it's going to take all of us. And one of the things that people have to be educated on, and I've been putting out, I don't know how many of you have seen my website, but I've also been putting out a little bit of history of how we got to where we are right now. And one of the wonderful things about that was that when our country is being formed, it was established, and let me give you a little background on that. When the king created charters for the colonies to be formed back in the early 1600s, they were there for profit, of course. Everything was profit to the king. Well, but when the greed and corruption was taking that money away from the kings and nobilities, they had to do something. So to make a long story short, they decided, oh, we got all these stupid people out here working for us. Let's just encourage them to buy in, shareholders, and we can get more revenue. Well, the more people that bought into this, the more voices were being spoken. Well, they were trying to ignore them, but they couldn't. So what did they do? The people formed a General Assembly.
General Assembly.
Okay, the General Assembly. Thank you. And that was in 1615, I believe that occurred. So that was the beginning of what eventually became our revolution and our Revolutionary War and the Articles of Confederation. Now, in those Articles of Confederation, one of the things I've written about in this piece of history was the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment was an amendment, and it's still in the Constitution today, in Article 1, right at the very end before Section 10, where any personages of nobility cannot hold public office and cannot serve without losing their citizenship. Because the people knew that these people were Tories, they were the bankers, they were the traders, they were the people that controlled everybody else. And they knew if they let them get into power, that nothing would change. The king would still indirectly control, which he is still doing to this day. And so with the General Assemblies, what they were able to do is they were able to break away from the king. And we won a battle. We basically, a ragtag army, beat the strongest, most powerful army in the world at that time. And so we have that challenge again. So one of the things we can do to get back to what we need to do in this county, since 1871, we were officially designated as a corporation. All the alphabets changed, everything changed, but we can take that back. We are not subservient to the state. We are not. We are subservient to common law. And that was what our nation was founded on, was common law. And we're going to return to that. We're going to form General Assemblies. We're going to go and we're going to organize a posse that is going to be like our regulated militia. And we are going to get people to rise up, because once the state sees that we're trying to separate from them, believe me, they're not going to let it go very easily. We're going to start keeping our money here. We're going to form our own bank here. We'll probably go back to what Utah has done and several states have done, go on our own gold standard, and we will start utilizing our tax dollars here. And the problems that we're going to have with that, of course, we got huge bills with the courthouse and the jail, that we voted down twice, and we could have fixed the old building up. That's a whole other ballgame. But we're going to start forming our own government here again, and we're going to go back to common law. And in those General Assemblies, we're going to take common law, and what we're going to do with it is we'll also take statutory law, and we will start to compare. We will see which statutes can work good for us, and we'll take it. We'll revise them, not a statute, but we'll put them in. Yes, Wes. Of course.
As a county, we can do this separate from the state, yes?
Yes. And that's what we're going to do. Right now, the state controls us, and so does the federal government in a multitude of ways. And it's become a police state. It's become a police state, and we have to take it back, because we have to remember that we serve the people. Remember the old signs on the cars, to protect and serve? We need to put those back on the vehicles again. And there will be no more unmarked vehicles. They will all be marked so people can identify. Because if there is a situation, once we build the trust back up, that if people need us, they know that they can call us. They know that they can call us. And I think that's I really do. Right now, you don't want to call the cops. You want to do anything else but doing that. And that's sad. That's sad that it's turned around that way. And so there's a lot of work that's going to be done. So I'm going to need everybody's help in doing this. This isn't going to be an easy task. This is going to be tough. It's going to be hard, and we're going to be up against the state coming in. But you know what? Once we form our posse, if those FEMA people want to come in, FBI people want to come in, and they have nefarious reasons for doing it, we're just going to meet them at the county border and say, no, I'm sorry. You do not represent us. You violated your oath of office. This is tyranny, and we will not be subjugated to it. And we will stop them by any means we can. And so I'm really excited about that. So, one of the other things we're going to do is when I get in, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean house. Classic example of today's paper. How many read today's paper?
Yeah.
A steak dinner. Really? A steak dinner. I mean, is that
Right
good?
tickets.
I hope it's medium well. But, this is really sad that, that this is going on, that they actually take these types of raffles and encourage officers to do things that are illegal. Now, everybody knows, Bob and I can't remember the other guy, Paul Noble. Everybody knows where they're always at, and granted, if they're intoxicated, they don't need to be on the road. And I would be of the mind that since we know that these guys, because alcoholism is a disease. It's just not something you go out and drink and party. It's a disease. And in my mind, if they're out there drinking and it's a disease, please let us know when you're done. Please let us know. We'll come get you and we'll take you home.
There you go.
Because that's what you do. You treat it. You don't incarcerate and do the kind of stuff that you do. And it's this way with a lot of different things. There's areas that we're going to have to be, more. What do you want to say? Working with the people in certain cases, because that's what we're supposed to do. Not just go after them because it's a frickin' revenue stream, and that's what it's become. I've sat in Judge Fay's office. How many remember the Krusty the Clown stickers that I put out? Did you ever see one of my Krusty the Clown stickers? Do you know who Judge Fay is?
No.
Judge Fay is one of our judicial 6th district judges here. And this guy, $60, $60, $60, $60. Do you waive your constitutional right? $60. Will you waive your constitutional right? $60. It's just a money stream. Nobody actually has a chance to plead their cases, because what he does is he cites the ordinances and the crimes right off the bat, and then he expects the person an hour later to remember what he said an hour before, and says, "Do you remember what I said?" $60, and that's that's got to stop. I mean, it was a joke. The first time we did it, Roger and I started laughing so bad because it was so obvious what was going on. He told us to shut up. So, and then the next time over at
kept laughing.
It happened again. And oh my God, it was just, it was hilarious. And but what I did was, I can dig through all my little goodies here. Come on, I should have had this already pulled out.
Way in the bottom and you need it now.
Way in the bottom and I need it now. Got it. But this is what it was. It was no justice to Krusty McFay. You just pay every day. and I put those. You can pass that around. And so there was a concert at the park, and I had about 500 of those printed up, and I put them all over the garbage cans. I put them all over the police cars out there. I took them where Krusty's office was, and I put them Krusty. And every time I see him, I call him Krusty, and I put him everywhere. So it was pretty.
Those two people recognized it when they looked at it and pointed at it and laughed.
Yeah, they laughed. It was funny. So I got a big kick out of doing that. But political satire and cartoons are a way to get a message across without getting a libel suit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured that was pretty safe to do that. So I had a great time. So one of the things we need to do, if everybody's on board, is we need to organize. And one of the organizations that we're going to have to do is, the first thing is we start getting our signature petitions. I put mine in today, along with my fingerprints. They're all in there now. Everything is up above par now. And we need to be able to get our signatures to get on the ballot. I believe Rachel needs 98, and I need 129. So if I figure she gets 300 and I get 400 or something like that.
Yeah.
Dwight, one of our friends, he gave us the list of the town. We still need to get the list of the county. We're going to have flyers made up, door hangers, where when we go door to door, we'll be able to hang door hangers, knock on the doors, get signatures. I believe the Red Rider Rodeo is going to be coming up here in June. So
July 4th.
What's that?
July 4th.
Oh, that's when it starts, July 4th. I don't know when the last date our signatures has to be in, but I'll probably set up a table there. I'll have a banner there at that point, and we'll get the rest of our signatures. But we need people to be able to help us to walk and get the signatures. And then what's going to be important is after we get the signatures and submit, then we're going to have to at that point start looking at our personnel. And since we're going to root this thing out from the very bottom, we're going to need people to replace them. We're going to need people to step in as judges, and these will not be bar attorneys. They will be representatives from the people who have constitutional backgrounds. That will be our referees, I'm going to call them. We're not going to have black robes and
All right.
I'm sorry. I did enough of that when I was a young boy as a Catholic, rise up. We should have got up. And I still wear my St. Christopher, so, So we're going to need people to, we're going to need to form grand juries. So that way, when we take in, we can right away we can get the judges and we can detain them until the grand juries can judge for themselves what the people deem as their punishments for violating our oath of office, and for violating our rights. We will hold them accountable, and you will be the judges of that. We're going to form grand juries. We'll get the judges. We also need people to fill some of the vacancies that are going to be in the sheriff's department. So there was a gentleman here last week. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, and Boyd Nigel was here. That was a deputy, and hopefully I'll be able to get a hold of him again, because there's a lot of deputies here in town that were distraught with what was going on, and we need to get them back in. We're going to set up constitutional classes, and we're going to make them all take oaths of office again. And this time they're going to be to protect and serve the people and to work with us, and not to be what they are right now, wanting a steak dinner to throw somebody in jail. I mean, wow, that was just awful. And that's not the only one. A few weeks before that was Gerald Manzanares. Look what they did to old man Gerald. Holy smokes, how many more Gerald? Unbelievable. I still get teared up over them doing that. That was, taking this old man down on the ice for a supposed parking violation? Are you shitting me? Really? And then for the deputies to be exonerated, a paid vacation, administrative leave, no repercussions. They get off with the slap of the hand, so now they don't have it on their record, so they can go someplace else and get a job and continue that kind of. I would have fired them both right then and there. Oh my God, that's just wrong on so many levels. Why didn't they just go up to him and say, hey, this guy's complaining. Oh yeah, go ahead, Roger. This guy's complaining over here about you parking. The homeowner association changed the rules, which he was already, had been there for so long that there was, he had set up a precedent already for that. But instead of trying to work it out, for them to take him down on the ice and spread him like that and injure the man. I talked to him afterwards, and he's just, luckily his son is stepping up and taking the lawsuit on, but there was no need for that. No. So I'm going to be looking also to step back. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to see if you could go back to saying what was in the paper today, because I didn't read it.
Oh, I just skimmed over it real quick, but apparently back after Bob Keenan, he had ran for sheriff back in, was it 2018, I think it was? Was it 18, 19, something like that? You would always know where to find Rob. Rob, I love the man dear. I know him for years, but you could always find him at Boss Hogs. He was his own worst enemy about that. And so the deputies had tried to set up like a bet that whoever could catch either Rob or Paul with the DUI, that they would win a steak dinner. And and so
and that came out in the paper today.
That was on the front page.
Front page. But I thought I heard about that. It happened a while ago.
Yeah.
Because I heard about it, but why? Who printed it?
I don't know who
the editor wrote the article, the Sun.
Yeah.
Terry, but it's because Rob is still having to mess with all of that, what the sheriff's office did to him.
Yeah.
They ruined his life.
Yes, they did.
They made him a target
because
he dared to run for sheriff.
Yep, and he eventually lost because of that, because he got the DUI while he was running for office.
Yeah.
And so, When you're running for an office, you don't go to the bar and drink and then go out on the road and you want to be sheriff. Rob, come on, get a V8. You know, really? That was stupidity on his part. He should have known that.
So they're going to spend a small amount, medium, or a large amount of time while they're on duty searching to see if they can keep an eye on one person instead of protecting the community.
And when you're short-handed as it is, I just want to know if they're going to take them to minors for that stake or not.
I can't recall. I got the article. One of the two guys that got DUI, it says that their DAC was below legal limit, not above it.
The second one.
Yeah.
The second one. Rob's first one, he was well above it.
Okay.
He was well above it.
Second one?
Yeah. The second one he was below. The first one he was above. So he had gotten dinged for it twice. And so in that case, we know it's a disease. So, you know, you try and treat it as opposed to try and punish it, because then it just creates a whole new can of worms that. So, you know, my book, you know, okay, let's find a way to treat this.
So,
You know?
so you're saying this is a disease.
Yes.
So if we catch, or you catch the same person twice,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to recommend
Help.
help?
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
take them to a clinic or something?
You know, take it. You know, if you can't take them home, then take them down so we can sleep it off, and then in the morning.
No. Once you get past that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's going to court.
He's
Give
going
them
to have to do
resources.
intervention. He's
You're
going to
give
have
him
to.
resources.
Yes, he's going to have to do intervention because it's a disease. It has to be treated.
And see, somehow you might be able to tie that in, because he might go to jail for a day, but those guys will put him in jail for a month or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I would think a way to do that is you would, whatever that daily cost is to have a prisoner in jail, you would take that money to help him,
Yeah.
to get him help.
That's a good suggestion.
Bam.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you. But back to looking for personnel. Ricky, I've thought about you a lot.
What I do now?
Would you? I'd like to hire you too. Now, I don't know if you'd like to be in emergency management or communications.
How about both?
Can
How
you?
about emergency management, taking care of communications?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
All right.
One of the things that happened, one of the guys that are running for sheriff, his name is Mike LaRue. Mike LaRue was hired here in the county as the emergency management official
Yep.
to take care of emergency management, which we, in emergency management, we're trained in every type of emergency, through FEMA, through the hospital, through all kinds of things. There were many of us that took on all this training. Mike LaRue came in and got rid of all of us.
Yeah.
And just shut it down. Yeah.
And he's a big advocate of stricter statutory laws.
Yeah,
Which,
he wants to eliminate the Constitution.
yes, he
So,
certainly does. And he has no. How do I explain the feeling that we all have that are born in this country, that love this country, that want to protect it and maintain our freedoms? It's like it's
He has no respect for the Constitution.
no.
something else is
No.
he just became a citizen of the United States.
Yep.
No, he
2
just
years
does not
ago.
get these.
He doesn't
He's from
understand
South
it.
Africa.
Yep, and he doesn't understand. He doesn't feel it like we do. It's a passion for us, and we love this country in spite of all of our differences. That's what makes us a great country. The difference is, oh my God, we're a melting pot. Let's encourage that. Let's bring that. So I'm going to be looking for people, you know, to fill in these positions that are of like minds, that want to serve and protect the public.
Yep.
And there's so many levels that we can do that. So I'm going to be looking for people to help to do that too, and to fill a lot of these positions because they're going to need to be filled.
So what you're saying is you are going to work for the people.
Yeah.
You're not going to work for the higher ups in this county that want to dictate to you.
No, because that defeats the whole purpose.
Well,
Because
I agree,
it's we the
but-
people, and it started out as we the people. When our great country was being formed and founded to the General Assemblies, these were poor people. They were farmers. They were ranchers. They were trying to live off the land. They were trying to build something, and they built this wonderful country. And we cannot forget that we are those people today. We all work. We all have to provide. And look how we're being overtaxed and overregulated. That's not what this government was designed to do. It was a minimal amount of government. It was supposed to be just a resource, and that was it. Not what it's turned into now. Oh my God, you can't turn around now without having to fill out some paperwork or pay a few dollars here and there. I'm fighting my HOA right now and have some charges put against me over a gate that I put on my property. And they took it down illegally, and I tried to put it back up, and they filed criminal mischief charges on me last week. Mischief. Is mischief a freaking crime? No, you take the kid out in the back and you beat him until they, don't you do that again, you know? They filed criminal mischief. So I went down to, getting back to it, I went down there today when I was getting my fingerprints, and to get the report I had to pay $5. To get the video, I had to pay another $15. Well, you know what? We pay our taxes. They should just turn that over to you. Say, you know, why do we have to pay every time we do something? And it seems like every time we have to go somewhere or do something, we have to pay a few dollars. Well, where's our tax money going then? If we have to continue to pay. Oh, where's Krusty? Is that what it says? Pay every day?
Yep.
Oh, I still laugh about that. I put that on the, Roger and I put that on the website under one of the articles. If any of you have read my website, you'll see there's a multitude of articles and a few videos in there. And on flagrant corruption, one of the articles that I wrote that the papers won't put in, by the way, I put Christie's picture on it. And my wife come unglued. She goes, oh, you're going to get us in trouble. They're going to sue us. Oh, my God. She started crying, and we started fighting. And, you know, this has been a strain on me, too, with family issues, taking this position, believe me. And so I had to take it down. I took down the picture of Krusty. So I'm trying to figure out a way if anybody opens up the website and looks at the article where the picture can just flash up real quick.
I told him I'm not doing that.
But could you?
Come on, Roger.
Well, I think you should.
I'm trying to talk Roger into doing something that's different because I do things outside the box. How many remember the old Pac-Man? Well, what I'm thinking of doing is have Krusty or Judge Wilson as an animal and chasing the people, and the people are basically running away from the and their little dollar signs. And as Krusty or Judge Wilson grabs a dollar sign, the courthouse gets a little bit bigger. And then after $1,000 of them getting up, the courthouse gets so fat it blows up.
You can do that, Roger.
I could do it. Well,
But you know, you gotta have fun with this stuff. If we take it too seriously, oh, look what it does to us. The stress levels, you know, the anxieties, the issues with family and friends. And so I try and go about this as lighthearted as I can because it takes the stress off. A little bit of laughter is good in spite of what we're up against. And believe me, we're going to be up against it too. Because if I get in there, it's all going to change. And I'm going to change it as fast as I can. I'm going to detain as many of those people as I can. I don't care if they're BOCCs, if they're judges, you know, if they're employees that have violated, you know, our rights, they're going to be held accountable. And they're going to be taken before the General Assemblies and grand juries, and you people are going to be the judges. You'll determine what their punishments will be, and we'll carry it out. And whatever that determination is, that's your choice. And some of them more severe than others. So we need to put this back in your hands. You really do. And the sheriff needs to represent you in that category. Go ahead. How you doing, Steve?
All right. We're guaranteed, by our Colorado Constitution, we're guaranteed a common law. Not the system that they have today.
Correct. And that's what we're going to
And another thing, I was born in 1947. 90%, over 90% of the taxes that we pay today didn't even exist when I was born.
Yeah.
yep.
That's right. That's right. We are being overtaxed and overregulated without representation. What was the call back in the Revolutionary War? Taxation without representation?
Yeah.
I think we need to bring that back, folks, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, how many of us are living day to day and week to week now? And now with the fuel prices and the food prices going through the roof, Holy smokes. So this is my idea about that, is preparedness. We have a wonderful opportunity in this Four Corners area that we can hold out. I mean, we've got water, we've got fields, we can grow food in Navalese and Allison, we can divert some of that water, and we can start putting our water to use here and growing our own food, and going back to trade and bartering if we have to. Some people grow eggs, a lot of eggs right now, where everybody can get eggs, but we can grow our own food and we can become self-reliant. It won't be easy, but we can do it. And we can divert that water. And I don't care what the frickin' treaties or any of these things that these people have done. This is our water, folks. This belongs to us. And it shouldn't be going down to LA where they got swimming pools and golf courses and wasting it. Las Vegas where the Bellagio is going, woo, every 30 seconds, wasting millions of gallons of water. And golf courses, 1 million gallons per every 18 holes. And people watering their yards and swimming pools. But yet we have to cut back up here and suffer up here? No, that's going to come to a halt too. I'll probably be dead before all that is over after doing all this. But it's like I told my wife and my friends, our founding fathers gave up everything. They lost and sacrificed. Why shouldn't we pay the same price to get it back now? Because I look at this for my grandchildren and their kids. And this is what my focus is for them. I don't want them living in servitude. I don't want them living under the gun where they can't go out. And if they get away with this digital currency crap and social scoring, what the hell is that going to do? No, we're not going to institute that here. And one of the wonderful things I'm going to do too is I'm going to change the tax structure. People say, how are you going to do that? I'm saying, well, those people that are doing that right now, the assessor, if she continues to, she's going bye-bye too. I don't care who she is. Because what they base our property taxes on is a speculative market, real estate. So for those of us that have been in our homes for years and years, and with all these people coming in and paying over the price, the value of the homes, well, yeah, every 2 years the assessment's going to come up. And how many of you have had 800 plus increases in your property? And wow, and what have you done? And what have you got in return for that? That's exactly right. Well, that's going to come to a screeching frickin' halt. How I'm going to do that is really simple. We're going to base the taxes on 3 to 5% of what you paid for your home when you bought your home. That's the first step. Once we do that, it's going to get better. Once we do that, and this is something that we don't do, is we don't reward people anymore. If you've lived in your home for more than 20 years and you're 67 years of older, thank you. You've done your debt to society. All I ask for you now is please go volunteer at the library, go volunteer at the Metro Board, go volunteer, anywhere. Help go to the schools, substitute in the schools, and give something back of your free time. And that's all I'm going to ask in return for that. And because it's not fair, my parents, they worked their whole lives to build their home. And they were forced out of it because of frickin' property taxes. Yeah. They spent their whole lives building their dream house to be kicked out. And you think the county cared? Hell no. And that's what's happening here in town. Local people are being displaced. Where are they going? I mean, this is wrong on so many levels. So that's going to come to a screeching halt. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah.
Huh? That one's a good one. Well, that's many of the areas that we're going to attack because we have to. We have to start looking after each other. And how dare we take advantage of our elderly people like that? I mean, and they're on fixed incomes. How are they going to? They can't afford these things. And with food and gas going through the roof, one of the things I've thought about deeply too is fuel. Fuel's getting out of hand. Well, you know what we're sitting on? We're sitting on the largest natural gas deposit in the United States, the San Juan Basin. It comes all the way up in here. Why don't we just tap into that ourselves and convert all of our cars to propane, and then we can get our gas for whatever it costs us to get it for? Say it takes us $20 a gallon to pull it out. Well, when you divide that $20 a gallon to pull it out amongst the population, that brings it down to pennies on the dollar. People can afford to drive around. It's going to cost a little bit, but I think that conversion, what do you all think about that? I mean, we have natural gas. Why can't we use it ourselves? Because what's happening is it's being pulled out of the ground and it's going overseas some damn place. We don't get the benefit of it. Not at all. Well, yes, we will. We will get the benefit of that because otherwise I'll shut them down. And with our posse that we're going to have, how are they going to stop us? How are they going to stop us? They can't. And if they try and bring in the state National Guard, I don't believe them guardsmen that have taken an oath of office too are going to side with the corporation. I think they're going to side with we the people. And I'm confident of that. And I don't
Well,
see...
there will be ones that won't, and
Yes.
that's when conflict will come about.
Right.
And, you know, like the anarchy mindset, even though I can't see it getting back to that because it's such a big, it's so technical that I don't, but everything you're saying, that's great, but it's a monster.
Yeah.
You know, one thing at a time, but
Yeah.
we can't do it if we don't get we the people more. I don't even know if it needs to be half, but you know, 50% of the people would start doing something more than what they're doing is watching it go away from them.
What percent of people created our revolution and won?
Yeah, not a big one.
3%.
Yeah, I don't know.
3, maybe 5% of the people rose up and beat the strongest military on the planet. A ragtag, starving army beat these people because of passion, because they believed in freedom. We have to have that belief in freedom again.
If we win this sheriff, because I don't know if there's any counties in the United States that's doing what you're saying, that's already there. He is the sheriff.
Yep.
Maybe Cortez, but I don't know if he's. I mean, you're making a lot of stuff, saying a lot of things that I like, but I'm thinking, okay, how hard is that going to be to get? It ain't going to be easy.
No, it's not. It's
Like you
difficult.
said, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Yes, Ricky.
Okay, so for a petite grand jury to be established here in this county, it only takes 13 people.
I thought it was 24.
24 for a full-blown
Okay.
general jury assembly. Okay. Now, once a petite grand jury is established or the general jury assembly is established here in this county, then everything routes through we the people.
Yes.
So here's something that people often say, how are we going to do this? It's simple. 24 people, and we got it.
Yeah.
We serve notice on the corporations,
Yep.
like the county commissioners, the corporation called the Archuleta County Court System.
Yep.
We serve papers on the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
And we say, we the people are now in control of our county.
Right.
You have to go through us. So if they don't, what do we do?
And I'd love for Kelly to write all that stuff up and get that all in legalese so we can present that.
It's already done. It's already done.
Oh, okay. Who's got it? Let's
Okay,
get
so
that
there's a group of us.
I'm just taking volunteers.
There's a group of us that have been studying this since 2009.
Good.
Okay, and it's all documented. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys have been watching Alaska, seeing what's happening with Alaska. Alaska was one of the first states operating under we the people in General Jury Assembly. They wrote a letter to the governor and said, you can either listen to us or we're going to fire you. We'll replace you with it's a military governor until one is reelected.
Okay.
The governor said, yeah, don't fire me, I'll work with you.
Yeah.
And one of the first things they told the governor is give us back our waterways. Get the federal government out of our waterways.
That's right.
And he did.
Bingo.
Okay,
And that's
another
what he
thing,
did.
many things
Yep.
that the people of Alaska told our governor, and he has done it because he knows he's going to get fired.
Yep.
So to say it doesn't work is erroneous because it's working all over.
It's working. And that's
California's establishing their general jury
Yep.
assembly. Texas, Florida, New York, and everybody wonders, well, if you do this, who's going to back you up? Who's going to back us up is the military under our Constitution. Did y'all notice that Trump walked in front of the Queen?
Oh, no, when was this?
Okay, so when Trump was in office,
Uh-huh.
he was inspecting the Queen's
Guard?
guard,
Okay.
and he walked in front of the Queen. Reason he did that is because we in General Assembly wrote him a letter as our commander-in-chief, not as the CEO of the corporation.
Okay.
We wrote him a letter and told him to drop the Act of 1871. If y'all don't know about 1871, look it up.
Yeah.
That's when we all came a corporation.
Corporation.
And he did.
Good for him.
He did. And that's why they hate him.
One of the reasons.
Yeah, one of the. So thank you, Ricky, because I'll tap into that, and we will use that right off the bat, and we will serve everybody all at once. All at once.
If you wanna know a lot about how it works and how to establish a General Assembly here in the county, go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's Four Corners Report, and it's right on the front page. It's the first thing you're gonna see.
Okay.
Skip the first 17 minutes of the video and watch that video. It's a long video, but we all need to understand who we are and who they are.
Could you repeat that again? Is that Ellen needs to type that in? I think Mary Becca's going to write that down. And I see Lori over there typing it down. Yay! And see, this is what's wonderful about these kind of meetings, because everybody has something to contribute. It's just not one person. So with Ricky stepping up like this, I mean, this is big. This is exactly what we need to be doing.
Let me ask a question. You started to touch on it and change directions. Let's say we do this and we send a letter to the BOCC and the sheriff and say you're fired.
All corporations.
And they go screw yourself. What do you do?
Arrest them.
If they don't do it, we arrest them. Who's going to arrest them? If the sheriff's department doesn't arrest them, we bring in our military under the Constitution. Now, there's a corporate constitution, there's a corporate military, but we the people, according to our Constitution, we have our military. That's ours. That's how we addressed Trump. We didn't address him as the CEO of Walmart. We addressed him as our constitutional military leader, and he responded in big time. There's a lot of information on that too.
And what's unique, well, not unique, but what's really sad about this is that since our banking, our media, and every aspect of our life is controlling us, we never hear about these things. We only hear what they want us to hear and what they want us to believe. And look how effective that was over this last 2 years. It's scary how it divided us. It divided the families. It divided my family. The arguments I got with my mom and my sister and my brother over this stuff. Oh my God! To the point where you couldn't be around them. My dearest friends, were buying into this dialogue, and the arguments I got in with some of my best friends. I mean, it divided a lot of people, and I'm sure all of you here had the same thing happen to you with this last 2 years. It's sad that our government went along with this global agenda of population control, and they used a disease to do it with against us. What do you call that? Is that genocide? Is that genocide?
Can he repeat where that was?
Oh,
Four Corners Report.
At YouTube.
Oh.
Four Corners Report.
Okay. Skip first 17 minutes.
Yes.
and so this is we're up against. We're up against a government that is not here to protect us and serve us. They're here to destroy us. Look what they're doing with the Ukraine thing right now. The lies that we're getting from this is, and I'm not going to back Putin on this at all, but I understand his concern about the 13 biochemical plants that were on his border that were going to be used against the world. And basically, he stepped up and went there and took care of them plants and shut them down, got the paperwork, got the information, and he backed out. And that's what I'm hearing. Is anybody hearing anything different than that? That they can add to what's going on over there? Because I know they want to turn this into a world war. Because let's face it, we are bankrupt. I mean, how many trillions of dollars are we in debt? We don't even know anymore.
We are 30 trillion in debt on the books and 170 trillion unfunded off books. So we're $200 trillion in debt. The assets of the country boils down to $360,000 a piece. We each owe $306,000 a piece.
And how does that happen, that we owe for their decisions? How does that play into this? Well, that's another. That IRS is a branch of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a what? Since 1913. So they're an illegal branch, and that's why they're getting away with what they do to violate our rights, because they're not under constitutional law. They're exempt from that. So one of the things I'm going to do too is, if these IRS agents say we have foreclosures because of all the stuff that's been going on, I'm not going to serve papers on people that have tried to live a good life and have tried to pay, but they're no longer in a position because of what's happening around them. I will not allow the IRS to come in and foreclose on people or the banks. No, I'm sorry. You've been ripping us off for years. The banks especially. No, I'm sorry. They're going to stay in their homes. There's nothing you're going to do about it. Sorry. Goodbye.
But does that sheriff position have that authority?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as long as I don't enforce it, because it's the sheriff that has to serve all that stuff. Sorry, I'm not doing it. These people have done nothing wrong. You're the criminals. No, get the frick out. Where's the possum? And we'll escort him right back to the border. Or maybe even over to Treasure Falls up high somewhere.
There you go, yeah. He was screaming on the way down.
Yeah. Ricky, you had another question?
Okay, so there's been extensive studies on the Internal Revenue Service.
Mm-hmm.
What we find out is it's voluntary. So that's a public information that we need to teach our public and give our public an understanding of who they are and who we are. Remember, they're a corporation. Anytime you see something that says government, you can look them up on Dun & Bradstreet and you can invest in that company. That includes Archuleta County.
Yep.
That includes the Sheriff's Department. That includes the court system.
Mm-hmm.
You can invest in that court system. As a matter of fact, I follow several people, several companies here in the Valley, or here in Archuleta County, and I get a pop-up when they get a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Archuleta County Sheriff. Bam, got a pop-up.
And that's exactly right,
Dun &
because
Bradstreet.
IRS is voluntary, just like this fingerprint thing. It's voluntary, but if you don't, so it really isn't voluntary. So that's what we're going to hang our hat on. Is it's an illegal tax collection agency. We're going to set up our own tax structure here that's going to be fair and equitable.
They're not going to like this. They're not going to like this.
I know they're not going to like it. They're going to bucket every step of the way. And
well, it's really the constituents who would be the ones that would have to be the decision if they like it or not.
That's
not,
right. I don't know how many people don't like freedom, but we still have to be fiscally responsible. We still have sewer treatment plants. We have water systems. We have potholes that are getting worse, and we have to start taking care of those. All those things are going to cost money. So once we do an audit, and an honest audit, not only the Sheriff's Department, the BOCC, everything, then we can come back before the people and say, okay, look, this is what we have to deal with. What's your pleasure? How do we deal with these things and get past them and then get beyond them so we can start doing what the people need to be done? Because let's face it, our streets are in terrible shape. Our infrastructure is aging. I'm surprised it hasn't fallen apart yet. Our water treatment plant is way overburdened right now. There's too many people moving in, and that's another thing I'm going to do. What's the biggest concern that we should be having right now beside all this politics?
Getting you elected.
No.
No, the water.
The water.
Yeah.
The water. Our lakes are low. Our snowpack hasn't been very high. And it's like I see in the deserts. One of the reasons why I left Tucson is because I was on the water board there with the University of Arizona, and I kept telling these people back in the 90s, you cannot continue to bring people in watering golf courses, letting people have pools, and then telling them to conserve. And then when they conserve too much, you raise the rates. Yeah. Whoa, what kind? And I said, what's wrong with you? And so what we need to do here is we need to establish a moratorium on building and people coming in until we can ascertain what our aquifer is really doing and how long it will last us in the future. We have to be responsible for our children and our children's children, that they will have water generations from now. And if we don't act now, we may not have the water. And what happens in the desert when there's no water in a town?
People leave.
It turns into a ghost. How many ghost towns are in the West? Lots. And why? No water. Yeah, same thing with the Native Americans. No water. So we have to be fiscally responsible. And if we got to bite the bullet and stop housing development until we can find that out, because the more straws we put in that, the faster it's going to go down.
Yeah.
And as all of you know, most of our water around here is sulfur. We have very few places that we actually have clean water. So we're diminishing it quickly. And that's got to stop. That's got to stop. So my big thing is water. Without water, we all die.
Yeah.
We all die. So that's something we're going to look at.
I have a question. So can you tell us about you?
Okay, Bob, thank
what
you for
you've done
coming.
in your life.
What's that?
Tell us about you, what you've done in your life, how long you've been here. Yes.
Oh, I've been here for 15 years, actually living. My wife was from Aztec. When we first got married, she brought me through here to go see her uncle at the VA. He was dying, so we had to go to the Denver VA at the time. So when we drove here, we stayed here at the Springs. And coming from a small ranching family, and this is in my bio on my website, I was born and raised in Nogales, Arizona, a little Spanish town on the border. We were ranchers, and we were always concerned about water management, because our cattle lived depending on the monsoons, if we got rain or didn't get rain. And so growing up in a small community like that, you learn a lot of family values. And as I grew up and went to schools, I went to schools in Tucson, I became very active, as we all should be active in our communities, because it's our responsibility to be active. So I got involved in different boards, and one of the ones I got on was the Water Resources Division at the University of Arizona, because my concern was we were building too much. We were wasting a lot of water. We didn't have secondary watering systems for the golf courses where we used gray water in its place. And I tell you what, every time I went to Dr. West, I was getting my ass beat. And I'd jump up and I'd say something, and they just ignore me because it wasn't generating revenue. And that's what it always boiled down to, is generating revenue. And I could not for the life of me. So I ran for the County Board of Supervisors because at that time I was a union leader for the Steamfitters Union. So I was very involved in all the aspects of politics, from local to federal to treaties to environmental law. And I did that for about 10 years, and it gave me a good foothold of just how corrupt the system was. And I won the primary in that, but then I got defeated in the general by 47 to 53. Isn't that the Dominion split nowadays to make it look almost good? So they were doing it back then, and I'd go before the county recorder and say, Ann, come on, this is bullshit. You know, you guys are fudging this. I knew I won, but they wanted the Boyd in there. Not Boyd Niggle, but there's another Boyd, because he was a yes man. He wasn't going to buck the system. So, and a couple years later, when the NAFTA and the GATT treaties were coming in, how many of you are familiar with the NAFTA and the GATT treaties? What have the NAFTA and GATT treaties done to this country?
Destroyed our workforce.
I started arguing back in 1996. I even met Clinton, and I said to him, "Why are you destroying our country?" He just looked at me and went on. Yeah. And because the NAFTA treaty was a treaty between Canada and Mexico to open up the borders. But that was just the cover. The main treaty was the GATT treaty that they snuck in right afterwards. The GATT treaty was the treaty on general trades and tariffs. And what that did was that opened up the door to China. And in that 20,000 page treaty, I got the summary, which was about that big. And I started thumbing through that summary, and I started going, oh my God. Because what that summary basically said was, any corporation that goes to China, we the taxpayers will pay for you to go over there. And if China nationalizes you, we will pay for your losses and pay for your return back home. I went through the wall, and I was running for Congress, and I was telling people, look at this. And the guy I was running with was from Hungary, and he had escaped during the 1956 when the Russians came in with the tanks. He had escaped from that. This guy was a professor at the U of A. He was anti-gun. He was New World Order. He was for all. And I'm thinking, you escaped from a communist country, and you want to take us back there? And again, I lost by the same frickin' percentage.
Really?
Isn't that interesting? I think those percentages are reflective of what's happened in our last election. And so that's another big issue is the dominion machines. But to get back to it, these treaties in the last 20 years have destroyed this country. They have taken away our industrial base, our manufacturing base, and we do not have good paying jobs with benefits anymore. All that has been taken away, and now people are struggling in this town, working 2 or 3 jobs just to earn ends meet. There's no, the rents and housing costs are sky high. A young couple starting out, I don't think they can really afford to even try and buy a home anymore. It's so outrageous. And I see interest rates starting to climb back up. And yeah, this is all a result from them treaties. And they called me a tree hugger and a conspiracy theorist, all those tag names, you know. And I took those with a badge of honor. But, you know, I hate to say I told you so, but it has passed. It has come true. We basically have been stripped of our nation. And now they're stripping us of our freedoms. And if we don't stand up and do something in every community, we're going to lose it. We'll soon be under a digital currency with social scoring. And I hate to say this, but I'm sure the mark of the beast is going to go along with that. Because how are they going to identify it? Oh, yeah, Mr. Bryant, yeah. Oh, you said something bad to the lady at 7-Eleven. We're going to take away 20 points. Oh, you can't take the bus today. You're going to have to walk. Is that what we're going to allow ourselves to get into? Because that's what's coming. They're already doing it in China. They're already doing it in China. And people over there are letting them get away with it. They're not rising up because they have a totalitarian government with a huge army that will shoot them. I think one of the greatest scenes I remember of rebellion was, how many remember Tiananmen Square when that young man stood in front of that tank and kept standing in front? The emotion in that, you know, and then he disappeared.
Yeah. People in China go along with it because they don't know better. The media is so controlled, they have no clue what's really going on. And here, with our drive-by media, we don't know what's going on either.
No. Only what they tell us. I haven't had TV for what, 6-7 years now. I finally had to turn it off. I got tired of it. It was a constant barrage, and it just makes you irritable, makes you negative. So I feel a lot better now without TV, because there's enough mediums out there that people can still get the truth. And even though they're banning it, so anybody here, if Trump was successful in buying out Twitter today, did they get the cash price?
Musk. Elon.
Oh, Elon Musk. I'm sorry. Did they settle on a price between $52 and $54 billion cash?
Yeah, some of that. Yeah.
I don't know the outcome of it, but I know he put the offer in this morning, $47 billion.
I don't think there's been a final word on it, but he says he's got a plan B, and I haven't heard what that is.
And if he's successful in that, there's a good choice that censorship may stop.
There's also another caveat to that too. He also is part of the New World Order.
Oh, sure, yeah.
He wants to chip people. He wants implants in brains. He wants to do all these things. Plus, if he does take over Twitter, don't look at it as a good thing. We might have less censorship, but he might require identification to be on there.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. But the thing is, what is boggling to me, he's just throwing $47 billion out
43 billion.
like it's nothing. Holy smokes! What does this man have? And Lord knows these other people in this category, I can't even fathom what $1 billion is. That's what $1 billion stacked in $1 bills will go to the moon 3 times.
That's why we're all being nickeled and dimed to death on everything, because it's paying for these programs. It's paying for Tesla to have incentives and cuts, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. So anyhow, not to take any more of your time, I want to thank you all for coming. If you have any questions, because I know it's a Thursday afternoon and you want to get back home to your families, and so I do thank you very much for coming out. Peggy was first.
Yes, please.
I just want to say I've been here half a century, and we need to work very hard to get Wayne in, because if we don't, the corruption's just gonna get worse with Nazi LaRue, and they won't be stopping them. And we've got to all work together to make this happen. We can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, and it's like I said in the video. How many of you seen my first video where my wife and I are in there picking some fruit? I said at the very end, I'm 68 years old, and if I can start this wheel down the road, and no matter what happens to me, I'm hoping that by starting it, somebody will pick it up and continue with it. Because this isn't about me. This is about us. Yeah, that's why I put on there the campaign name is Americans Against Fraud and Corruption instead of elect Wayne Bryant for sheriff. Because no, it's not. It's about the corruption and the fraud that's going on in our society. And I've got lots of articles in there. So there's cards. I got big bumper stickers over there. If anybody wants to put them, a lot of people put them on, so thank you. And one of the bumper stickers is kind of fun. They're peel off, they're big, but it basically says this. It's Galatians 5:1. And it basically says, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. That's my bumper sticker. Yeah, because God helped us create this great country. He gave us the tools and wherewithals, and we cannot abandon that. We need to have faith in Him that He's gonna help us get it back, and that's why it's God, family, and country, because that's what it's all about. Is that? And I think I'm probably the only one who actually said that I'm a Christian and believe and have faith, and that's sad too. I would have thought all the candidates would be God-fearing people that believed in our way of life, because this is the first time, folks, since recorded time that man has had a chance to be free, and we fought for it, and we all came together for it, for freedom. And I think it was with His guidance that I believe it was His guidance that gave us this. We cannot turn back and hand it over to the one that's trying to take it away from us. So with that, I'll let that. Oh, you had a question, Ricky, before?
Yeah, there was some speculation that if Boyd Nigel gets in, that you're going to work with Boyd Nigel.
Yes, sir.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so let me tell you something. Remember, I talked to Boyd Nigel
Yeah.
for all over,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him to call me and
Yeah.
make contact. He has not called me.
Yeah.
He's just a politician. I don't trust him.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so when Boyd Nigel started his run for sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
I contacted him way early on. I asked him for a resume. He ignored me.
Yeah.
He's not my kind of sheriff.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things though is sometimes politics make strange bedfellows. Now, I've known Boyd, since he started running, and I believe that he has the same underlying conviction of trying to expose the corruption as I do. One of the advantages of having Boyd on board, because let's face it, the Republicans and the caucus railroaded him and Veronica. They just basically shoved them aside and said, you know what? And after Boyd and Veronica had done all the work that they have done, and agree or disagree with them, everybody should have an equal shot at this thing. It's not, shouldn't be one-sided. But they set up LaRue and Alvin, and they made it very apparent that that's who their people were. And I'm very disappointed in Marilyn Harris for doing that. So there's a good chance that Boyd's probably going to lose the primary. Now, Boyd is a great asset. He has the inside knowledge of how the system works. I don't have that. I'll be the first to admit to it, because it is so entangled. If I can utilize his abilities in that and untangle that, it will help us to get to our goal much faster.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't trust
And so I'm not going to turn a blind eye to that. I don't want to go into this thing blind. And he has that knowledge. He's been there for 28 years. Yeah. He knows the ins and outs, and I will tap into that if he wishes to. If he wishes to, and I think he will. We've talked about this one-on-one, and he's looking at it because he doesn't agree with me doing away with all the unconstitutional statutes, and he's a little, because he's been in that world his whole career.
Right.
So it's very tough for him to kind of start thinking outside that paradigm that he's been programmed into.
Right.
You'll help him get there.
And I'm going to help him get there.
I like that.
And that's why, being a resident up here, I was able to come here, last was it Saturday, and talked with him a little bit about that.
How many people were at that meeting?
I think there was 14?
14 total.
14.
About like this?
Yeah, about like this. So I'm really pleased that I had an equal crowd. So God, thank you, bless you all for coming out. I really appreciate that.
You need to think about setting up like Boyd did at the gun show. He had a corner table,
Yep.
and he got a lot of results.
He got
Did
a
he?
lot
of
of,
people stopped
Yeah.
by.
yeah.
And that's another reason for bringing him on board too, because we will get that faction, because most of us are conservatives anyway. And a lot of us are unaffiliated because we're disgruntled with the party system,
Right.
because it's betrayed us. It's become a good old boy club. And I think by, getting him on board, we're going to get that segment of the Republican Party that is disgruntled with what's going on too. And they're not going to want more regulations with LaRue. So I think they're going to come on board. And that's going to increase our chances dramatically of winning this thing.
Okay, so with Nagel's history, or however you pronounce his name, what makes you think that he is any less corrupt than Richie Valdez?
You know what? I'm willing to take that gamble, Kelly, until I find out that if that's the case, then he will be fired like the rest of them.
Well, he's already admitted in court to getting a guy down and tasing him 7 times.
We discussed that quite a bit when he was here on Saturday.
I did that in his face this Saturday.
Yeah, Keno and Ricky jumped on him about that.
It was an answer too, and that it wasn't a verdict, it was a settlement.
Yep.
And there were 9 people there at that tasing, and an officer got stabbed. At what point do you say tase somebody?
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Well,
I'll give
tasing,
mentally ill
cuffing
and
and then
handcuffed.
tasing 7 times, I just don't have a good feeling about that. Plus his history coming from Harris County, Texas, that is the most corrupt cesspool.
Yeah. Well, we have to take his inside knowledge in order to navigate through the maze of government that's there. Because how many times do you go to one government entity to get something and you got to go over here. Oh no, you got to go over here. Well, no, and each time you got to wait and wait and wait. And by the end of the day, you still haven't got accomplished what you wanted to get accomplished because you're trying to figure out your way, navigate through all this bureaucratic BS. And I'm hoping that he will be able to help us navigate through that much faster to get to what needs to be done.
Let me explain something. I watched the video here yesterday. It was an interview with Tina Peters. And she, the powers to be have infiltrated the Republican Party here in Colorado. The gal that was running against her for Secretary of State for the Republican Party has been on the board of every single Democratic organization in Colorado. But she was running as a Republican against Tina Peters so that maybe they could knock her out. For all those who don't know, Tina Peters is the one that's exposed all the corruption with the voting machines up in Mesa County.
Yep, the Dominion. And we have 2 of those voting machines here, Keno. And Christy and Tony at the clerk and the recorder are emphatically believe in these systems to be fine.
Well, that's
and
because
Gail, you
because
heard her
their
say
boss
that.
is telling them.
That's right. So we have to be concerned about those machines and the corruptness of them.
They found that Texas A&M, the head of the department, I can't remember his name now. Anyways, Texas A&M did a forensic study of the voting machines, and they found that the one that was up there in Mesa County had 9 cell phones attached to it.
Remote.
Yeah, remote. So people could change the voting sitting in a motel somewhere.
Yep.
It's coming out, those Dominion voting machines. A gal from China back in, saying 2017, that worked for the company in China, that worked for China. She warned everybody back then that it's not the machines, it's the software that was developed by China that goes into the machines.
The big issue with all this, though, is that those are things out of our control at this time. And until we actually all start working together, again, having Boyd and Eagle, whatever his flaws are behind him, on our side, at least up until, the election or whatever.
Right.
Or if he proves himself or whatever. I mean, that's the point. We can talk about election results and Dominion and everything. I hate it. I hate everything about what's happened as well. But we could talk about it. What are the solutions? There's no solutions right now. We have to kind of play their game at this point in time. Right. That's how I look at it.
Well,
but
as
I could be
watchers, wrong. It's like Dale and I. Dale was the judge for Sarah's election for the town, and I was what do you call it?
The poll watcher.
A poll watcher. And we watched them count every ballot. They were very good. Of course, there's only 370 of them, so it didn't take very long. I think the county is going to have something like 9,000 ballots go out, so that's why they think the convenience of the machine. So we're going to have people there when this is going on to make sure that the addresses have been verified and that the count going in is the same count going out.
And the vote is the vote.
And the vote is the vote. And that's going to take a lot.
I don't think that's where the problem lies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the counting of the votes.
Mhm.
I think it's when they transport it electronically to the state.
Right.
And they don't check what we got here is what they recorded
Right.
there. Because that's where the change happens.
So we need to
That's what I think.
be able to.
There needs to be a change. What is that?
I don't know if they'll let us. They're not going to want to let us.
So I think if enough of us demand it that we can verify the count, I think there may be an impact. We have a few months before the general election, but I think we need to demand that we need to have a count by an open count. Because mail-in ballots, let's face it, are the most corrupt way of voting that there is. Wow, I mean,
Are we gonna have to do that?
we may, yeah, I think we should.
No, I mean mailing.
Oh, we don't have, you can take it down, but it's.
Well, I remember April. Was it April said there is a the handwritten ballot that
You're making me really work at
machine.
this.
So we need to be able to have that in our access,
Yeah.
and we're gonna. Hopefully, some of us will be there to at least see what they did before they put it in the machine was
Right.
correct. Because what you and I witnessed for Sarah, it was all legit.
It was all
I didn't
legit.
see no,
Yeah.
and I don't think it'll be any different. It's like Ellen said, when it goes to wherever it goes, and I've heard it goes out of the United States, wherever, China or somewhere, and that's where they manipulate it. And nobody's following that path. So what we at least need to follow, we need to be able to follow it. If it goes to Denver, then where does it go from there?
Well, I don't think it's gonna go to Denver. It's not a state position.
Where's it gonna go?
It's a county. It's gonna stay here.
It's gonna stay.
Oh, I think
gonna
they're
stay
gonna.
Then
here.
hand count.
Yeah,
then,
and we can, if enough of us petition a hand count, so what if it takes all frickin' night?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Then that should be the movement at this point.
Yeah,
A petition for
a
him.
petition for that, so.
Yes.
And that's something that each of us has to do individually, is go down and say, and in writing, that we want a hand count. We want a hand count to make it fair. We don't trust the machines because of what has been demonstrated these last few elections. We want an open and fair and honest election. We want a hand count.
Well, like Mary Beth just said, it's not just gonna be local. It's
Mhm.
gonna have senators and, state reps and stuff on
Right.
it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think so.
So it will go.
So maybe it will.
so I think
Yeah.
we should do the hand count
Yeah.
here if we
For
can.
the county offices.
For the
Yeah,
county offices.
And then, as long as they match up what we find here
Mhm.
with what they send to the state on whatever,
Mhm.
I don't know how all of it works,
It
but
needs to be verified
it
somehow.
does need
Yeah.
to be verified.
Certified is what it used to be.
Yeah.
They certify.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, everybody write a letter or go down there and write something that, yeah, we want a hand count, we want a fair and honest election.
Mhm.
For
all the
all
county
county
elections.
Yeah.
elections. Because what county seats are there gonna be? There's gonna be the one
Commissioner.
BOCC seat, there's gonna be,
Sheriff.
the sheriff, I believe, the recorder is up again. I don't think anybody's running against her.
The coroner.
Yep,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, I don't think they have any competition. There's nobody challenging them.
So actually, Tommy wrote Dale already and said, are you willing to do the next election?
Oh, good.
It was the primaries, so
Yeah.
June. And so if you guys want to be involved in that,
Yes.
then get with her because we
Yeah.
already said, yes, he does want to do that.
Yeah.
So they're going to need more people.
They're
I'm
gonna,
sure.
and I think they need Republicans and Democrats. I don't know if they'll take unaffiliated.
I don't know how
Yeah,
that works,
I don't
but
know.
I think
Otherwise,
if you
I'd
call
volunteer.
Tommy, if you call Tommy at the elections office downtown, then you
Just so as
just
many
ask.
people can be judges and poll watchers,
Just hold
Yeah,
them accountable.
please just go down and sign up. And I think you have to have a candidate sign for you. Is
This
that
might
correct?
be different this time because you also have to be fingerprinted, I believe, for the county. I'm looking for that.
Really?
I believe that's what she said. Let me just look really quick if I can find it. I remember it was recent. Hang on.
Sometimes you have to get fingerprinted all through your life.
I know.
I mean, it's
It's
just
only
happened too
good.
many times.
It's only
Right.
good for a certain amount of time. So I'm reaching out to
How can it
check
only be
and
this?
see if you are still available and willing to be county judge for the upcoming primary held on June 28th. As you know, the dates and hours that we meet will be dependent upon the number of returns. Therefore, we will know more as we get closer to the election day. Once I hear from you, I will send out an official appointment/acceptance from and background check for you to return to me if you have any questions and concerns. So if anybody wants that phone number, I can give it to them.
Okay.
You probably
So,
have to pay
there it
for
is.
that too.
Okay, well, again, I don't want to take up any
How
more
much
of
was
your time.
that?
What's
For
that?
fingerprints, how much did you pay?
No, they didn't charge me.
Oh, they did?
Well, the background checks though are
Yeah, the background check.
$65.
So thank you very much. If there's some extra sodas you care to take, seltzers or some bags of chips, please take them home. I can't eat all those by myself, but I would like to keep one barbecue and one taco or one burrito.
One barbecue and one what?
One burrito.
Crack me up.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What do you know, hot popcorn?